What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we're having a look at the Vasco Shot event. With this particular event, this is very similar to previous months. Whenever we have a new batch release, there's always like a free-to-play event that you can farm. You get certain points depending on what you drop, and if you have point boosters, you get additional points, which in turn helps you complete your Chopper Man missions, where you can get lots of cool rewards, including gems, limit break materials. I think there's some summon tickets in here as well. I think there's a legend ticket right at the end. Yeah. So you know, this is an event that you can do over time. You have quite a long time to get this completed. I'm just trying to find what's the exact date you have until to get this actually completed. It must be in August sometime. Yeah, August 13th. So you got plenty of time to get this sorted. But in this event, there's two free-to-play characters you can get just by playing, and those characters include this one right here, which is Jesus Burgess. You get this guy just by completing Chopper Man missions. So you'll get this guy for free. Just do the event a few times. With this Jesus Burgess, he is an int fighter driven. Captain effect is for those two classes: 3 times attack when slots match, 2.5 otherwise, and a special at 13 turns, reduces the duration of barriers by 1, removes block orbs. He does damage depending on the amount of block orbs that you removed, but then he changes the empty slots into matching. So essentially what it does is it removes block orbs, changes them into matching, and then also does damage to them. But then he also says that if your captain is fighter or driven, those two classes will get a 1.75 attack boost. Not the best thing in the world, but honestly can be honestly worse. It could be worse. Fighter and characters psi slots, the fighter and driven characters psi slots are going to be matching if your captain is either one of those two classes. That is actually a really good crewmate effect for one of the stages in this particular event. So that is the brand new Jesus Burgess, and of course the Vasco Shot is going to be appearing as well. He is an int driven shooter. Captain effect is boosting those two classes by 3 with a 1.2 recovery boost, and a special ability at 14 turns. He does get an additional turn with his limit break, which you can get his limit break orbs in this event, but he will go ahead and reduce despair and special bind by 4 turns, and he also reduces enemies damage threshold by 4 turns, and heals 7 times his recovery for 3 turns, and halves damage taken for 3 turns. So of course, if you use one of the new Blackbeards or the new dual type Blackbeard as a captain, he changes that last sentence into a 2 times attack boost for driven and powerhouse characters. So that's a really nice effect if you end up using Blackbeard as a friend captain. Now he does have crewmate effects, which will go ahead and boost shooter and driven by 30 base stats, and then also he resists special bind by 5, so you can still use him to remove special bind. Unfortunately, it only removes 4 turns of special bind. Would have been so much cooler if it did remove 5, but still a usable special that we'll see play in upcoming content. And I do know that this guy is actually relatively good for the upcoming arena event against San Juan Wolf, so you definitely want to get this guy prepared for when that actually occurs. But that's the breakdown of the 2 brand new characters. Let's go ahead now and jump into 4 teams that I have for you guys for this team today. So jumping into this event, first team that I have here is a versus Kaido team. This is the team that I initially used to get through the event first, so that I could get my actual copies of Vasco Shot and also Jesus Burgess. You can also farm the lower difficulty one, which is a lot easier as well, but you know, once you get that Vasco Shot and Jesus Burgess, you want to put them on your team because they are pretty high point boosters. Now for each of these clips, I have cut out the first stage because some of the teams needed a bit of stall because Vasco Shot and Jesus Burgess are not completely ready to go. But this team here, this versus Kaido team, is able to get through this without stalling, which is very good, of course. But against this guy right here, Shiryu, he's going to go ahead and despair and special bind your friend captain for 5 turns. If you are using a friend captain Blackbeard, the new one, his switch ability removes all despair and special bind off of himself, so that is an option that you could go for. Then you got Katarina Devon here, which has 8 million health and has defense up and damage reduction on this stage, and changes all your slots to badly matching. So having an ability to give you matching slots here are going to be great, and also removing the increased damage taken, or removing the increased defense and the percent damage reduction is really good. For this team in particular, you can see we're using V1 Jinbei 6+. That Jinbei is actually boosted in this event, so you could go ahead and use him. He's a point boost, I think it's 1.1 or something. So that's a really nice option because he's super effective against both or all bosses, really. Very useful. Final boss, Vasco Shot, is 8 million HP, and his preemptive He will bind your middle row for 7 turns. He gives you attack down for 4 turns, and he has a barrier. So you need to basically remove 4 turns of bind and 4 turns of attack down, and you need to get rid of those block orbs that are given to you as well. I really like that Rare Recruit Jack. Int Rare Recruit Jack is really good for this because he removes those nasty debuffs and also gives you an orb boost. So all you need is someone else to just remove those buffs as well, or to remove those block orbs and give you enough damage to kill Vasco's shot. Moving on to the second team here, we're using Versus Akainu as the captain because, of course, a lot of these characters coming out are all driven and powerhouse related. So Versus Akainu is a no-brainer here, having great synergy with these characters. Of course, using Blackbeard as the friend captain to get rid of some of those nasty debuffs. I do make a bit of an error here, though. I do actually go ahead and use the Vasco shot special, and then I use the switch effect of Blackbeard on this next stage against Shiryu. You'd want to be doing the reverse. You want to use the switch effect first of Blackbeard and then use Vasco shot special so that you actually get the attack boost from it, but it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. We have enough damage to get through it, no problems. But another thing that this Shiryu does that I forgot to mention a little earlier is the fact that he gives you the special limiter. For the entire duration of the run, you can only use 2 additional specials throughout that run. So it means that the characters that you select for your team composition have to be perfect for getting around each of the stage's debuffs and gimmicks. So it does make this stage a little bit more difficult, but the bosses don't have absurd amounts of health. They only have a maximum of 8 million on Katarina Devon and another 8 million on Vasco shot himself on the final stage. So at least it's not absurd amounts of health and it is relatively manageable, but Versus Akainu definitely handles all of these stages without too many qualms. So if you have Versus Akainu, count yourself lucky. He's going to make this event really easy, and also Versus Akainu is a boosted unit in this event, same as Versus Ace of course, so that is a valid option to use if you do have them. So moving on to this team, this is a almost free-to-play team. We do have Rare Recruit Queen here to help us on the Katarina Devon stage to get rid of the defensive effects, as well as giving us a 3x chain lock, but definitely a replaceable unit. But you know, honestly, if you wanted point boost, you could just replace that Queen with the 6+ Jinbei that we talked about a bit earlier, but I wanted to use something a little bit different this time. But this is a free-to-play team aside from that Queen position. We have Ambushed Linlin and Jesus Burgess for the final stage, but Moria is really good here, right? Because on the final stage, you're not allowed to use a special that gives you color affinity. So with Gecko Moria, the first turn you launch the special, you get a full board of slots, and you also get an orb boost. And then after 1 turn has passed, you get a color affinity boost. So you can use it on the second last stage, move on to the final stage, and then you'll end up getting your 2.5 times color affinity boost to, I think it's 2.5, it might be 2.25, but it's a huge color affinity boost to Driven and Powerhouse, and with the majority of the team being super effective against all the boss types, it makes a huge difference there, of course. And then we also have an attack boost from Ambushed Linlin on the final stage as well. Ambushed Linlin's great because she provides a 2.25 boost to our characters, and she removes the bind and the attack down that gets inflicted. So in terms of free-to-play, she's one of the better free-to-play units you can use in order to get rid of those nasty debuffs on stage 5. We have that Kaido as well, the free-to-play raid Kaido, to help us get an attack boost against Shiryu, just to help take him down a little bit easier. And of course, the 2 free-to-play units, Vasco Shot and Jesus Burgess, give us a little bit more point boost for this free-to-play-esque team. And the final team of the video is utilizing the team that I'll be using for this particular event, using double Gecko Moria. We're just using a bunch of the new characters, obviously, the 2 new rare recruits in Avalo Pizarro and also Katarina Devon, and the 2 new free-to-play units in Burgess and Vasco Shot. And we are using the support of Lafitte attached to Jesus Burgess, so the first time we're inflicted with the Despair here on stage 2, we can just indefinitely remove it, and then we can use Vasco Shot on the Shiryu stage, as well as a Gecko Moria special. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, Moria is really great for getting a boost against Katarina Devon, carrying a color affinity boost into the Vasco Shot stage, then going ahead and using the Jesus Burgess special to get rid of those nasty slots that are inflicted to our team. And also the rare recruit Avalo Pizarro helps us remove the attack down and the bind that gets inflicted to our teamer as well. Katarina Devon gets rid of the defensive effects against Katarina Devon, so this team works out well. It's great for points, and obviously if you did get lucky enough, do pulls and get the new characters, of course the new characters are going to be great for the event. But that is going to wrap up this video today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.